So this is a project that we've been working on for a couple of years now as a follow-on to an acquisition that we led. We actually had a company acquired by a pubco. So this is the follow-on effort for that. And Open Therapeutics is a fairly simple value proposition. We're going to go out and collect, and we already have done this, these unused intellectual properties that are sitting on shelves in academia, government, corporations. And there's about 4 trillion USD in unused intellectual property. That ranges about 85% of a portfolio. So if you went to Ohio State and you looked at what they were out licensing, about 15% of that is actually being actively licensed. The rest is sitting there. It's not going anywhere. It's costing them money to maintain it. The inventors are getting no value out of it. The institution's getting no value out of it. So we can come in, collect that intellectual property, and then source it on the platform for the global scientific community. And this allows us to solve a couple of problems. The first problem that we're able to solve is addressing the way drug development is done today. Right now, if you're US or European based, you're looking at an average of 2 billion USD, 12 years with a over 90% failure rate. So one of the reasons why drugs are so expensive is because the very high failure rate causes these guys to have to go back and collect additional revenues to make up for the loss. And the other big problem that we have is STEM recruitment. Right now, STEM is growing at about 26% annual in the United States, and we just don't produce enough STEM degrees to fill the void. So we actually have to go outside the country to recruit people to fill those positions. So we've had this really interesting event happen over the last couple of years, and the COVID-19 has led to unprecedented sharing. And within 48 hours of the sequencing of the COVID genome, this was released to the global scientific community for free. And as a result, we were able to really fast track into some of these vaccines, learn what types of treatments would be more efficacious. So an entire amount of further developments were built on the backbone of the sharing right out of the gate. And this then has served to disrupt the way therapeutics are developed in the United States and also in Europe, because it changes the intellectual property models. I suspect that we'll see these vaccine patents that were generated by Moderna and J&J and Pfizer are ultimately going to be disallowed through the inter-party review system at the USPTO because all of this stuff was built upon sharing. And in fact, you're already seeing that today with the battle between, I believe, Moderna and the National Institutes of Health as to who actually participated in the development of the vaccine. So we're focused on the open science, open access side of the intellectual property model. We're not anti-intellectual property. We just think there's a place for parallel intellectual property development. And so our solution's really simple. We have a open science sharing platform called Therapoid, and one can think of it as a little bit like GitHub and Reddit and LinkedIn, kind of stuck together as a single one-stop shop for the scientific community. And that's really important because, as I mentioned, there's no single place to go out and recruit STEM people to fill STEM roles. So you have to hire recruiters. They have to go out and look for these people. It's very high cost, very high risk. So having a single place where these folks can come and collaborate gives them the opportunity to be seen. And so our focus is not on the US and Europe. Actually, it's on Africa, Asia, and Latin America, where there's a tremendous amount of scientific talent, but it's just not being tapped. We can now provide a place where those folks can come in, be seen, and have opportunities for academic appointments or job opportunities. So we're providing them intellectual properties, we're providing them grants, we're providing them equipment. All of this is free, and it's managed on the chain. And ultimately, as they're working in what we kind of refer to as a scientific proof of work, as they're developing these technologies further along, they're being rewarded for those efforts with Science Coins, or the ERC20 based token at this time. And so the business model, so our original, our first revenue stream out of the 14 identified is a data co-op corporate membership model. And one can think of this as a company, say Amgen, who's looking for an immunotherapist. They can come in, pay a subscription, be able to mine the platform for the immunotherapists. 50 of them pop up. They can go and investigate who's doing what, how do they interact with other people, what grants and papers have they written, that sort of thing. And in this case, they're just extracting value from the platform, and they pay $500K for that. The other model is where they actually come in, they pay a partial subscription, but then they put data back into the system. So it could be drugs that they got through clinical trial 1 or clinical trial 2, but decided the market wasn't large enough, or some competitor came in. So they could just place that intellectual property on the platform, and that reduces their subscription level. So our yearly, over the EBITDA side of the revenue stream, is we're looking to get from 14 mil to 320 mil over a 5-year period with this entire recruitment data model. So our projections are based on a couple of ideas here. The first one is we acquired a listserv from the National Science Foundation that had thousands of researchers in that platform. So we still manage that listserv, and that gives us a focus point right into a very surgical use of a population of researchers. And then we have a couple partnerships in place that give us access to another 200,000 users. And as one might imagine, as these researchers are bringing other researchers in, they're earning Science Coins for that networking opportunity. And this is really important because, unlike most of the other social networks out there, we don't exploit these researchers. We recognize that they're making the company more valuable through their participation, and through that value, they earn the value back. And so we actually have a positive feedback loop nested within another one. As they are adding value to the company becomes more valuable. The underlying tokens become more valuable. That drives more value in the company and that sort of thing. So on the team side of it, this is my 5th startup. I've had a $1.8 million exit to a pubco. Did an Army career running research laboratories and doing humanitarian outreach systems. Jerome Hamilton's my chief business officer. He's launched business units at Ford and 3M. Dr. Li Gao's a graduate of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, a very exclusive, important institution in China, and she's a neuro expert. Munir's my consulting CTO. He's done a number of software development for startups. Nick is our initial associate community manager, and he's just somebody we recruited out of the University of Cincinnati to go in and help us manage our communities. Greg is our consulting network engineer, and he built the Food World Program network. So we have a really exciting team that's really experienced and highly motivated. Our customers are companies, governments, institutions, and the estimated TAM right now for this blend of co-op is 500 billion. And again, that's based on a global basis, not on a US European basis. So we have a major partnership in place with a global software company called V2Soft out of the Detroit area. And this company has essentially become our product development company. As a result, all of the money that we raise goes specifically to marketing. We don't spend any money on technology development. And through this equity investment that we have with V2Soft and this ability for us to focus exclusively on marketing, we're no longer a tech company. We're a marketing company. So for those of you here, we would suggest you go out and just pre-register at therapoid.net, and you'll be in line for complimentary Science Coins when we launch here in 3 to 4 days. So it's imminent. So hopefully we'll see some of you freely registered there. So in conclusion, we've got this honeypot science coins that the researchers can gain for their work. We have millions of users already pre-positioned, and then again, this is on a global basis. We've proven our business model with a $1.8 million revenue generating event, and 5 mil actually gets us to revenues. We're on the cusp of it now, so we actually will get there a little bit faster. So, Mariana, thank you so much for giving me the chance to do a quick update.